Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer, welcome back to American Truck Simulator, and welcome back to Burns, Oregon. Did I really just lose my voice? Moment, please. Did I really just lose my voice? 30 seconds into the video. Could it be possible? Welcome back to Burns, Oregon. Yeah, from the Oregon DLC. We got in last night. We got some sleep. We need to fuel up. That's right there. And I also did, you can see I took the truck over to the diesel shop when we got into town and took the chrome strip off the center of the hood so you can see our fantastic pinstripe job. Beautiful. So let's get this rig started up. Love it. Let's get this rig started up. Let's make the map smaller. There we go. And I'm going to pull across and get some fuel. No, you know what? Let's do this right now. Let's go ahead and get a job right now, and we can get fuel on the way. I mean, we're going to drive past it on the way out of the parking lot. So there's no problem to pick a job now. Burns. I would like to go to Ontario. I would like to go to Pendleton. I'd also like to go to Coos Bay. So let's see if we've got anything. Portland. Oh, let's simplify. There you go. So the Dales, we've been there. Salem, where's that? I think we've been there. Bend, Ontario. Ontario and Pendleton. Oh, we could take our pick. Neither one of these pay very well. You know what? Let's do Pendleton. Even though it pays less, it's further away. We've got a couple bucks in the bank, and that looks like a fun, twisty road to go up in this ridiculous truck with its ridiculous wheelbase. So, don't need lights. Take our lift axle up. Fantastic. Back in cab. Brakes off, brakes off. And here we go. So yeah, man, it is Friday where I am. It is, it's not early, it's about 10 a.m. And I suspect, I don't know for sure, but I suspect it's going to be a day. I don't know about you, but sometimes I can feel when a day is going to be a day. And I feel like it's going to be a day. So I think what I might do is record ATS, and then I think I might record ETS now as well, right? Just go back to back, a double header, and get them both out of the way, even though this ATS video will post tomorrow, Saturday, and ETS will post on Monday. I think I might just record them both today. We'll see. So, neutral. Feeling kind of neutral about things. Shut it down. And let's fuel up. This truck, I'm so glad that this truck is working. It's one of my favorite trucks in any truck sim. And when I say any truck sim, there's really only two. But I really, really like this truck. And I'm glad we got it working. So many bells going off. Now, how do we get out of here? Let's try this way. And, you know, I've been thinking about, and I sort of got, I don't want to say reminded of it this morning, but I guess I got reminded of it this morning. I fired up Steam, and Spin Tire's Mud Runner, which is a sim that I really enjoy. I call it a sim. It's more of a game. But I don't know, man. It's got really accurate physics. It's an unusual kind of a sim. It's an unusual kind of a game. But I really do like Spin Tire's Mud Runner. I really do like it, and when I fired it up today, it downloaded 1.1 gig of update, which is a little bit weird because the game itself is tiny. Something that's always something that's always amazed me about it is how it can do what it does, being as small as it is. It's an extremely lightweight game. And it's got great physics, and it's got really good graphics, I think. And it does it all for 1 gig. So, you know, kudos to the developers for that, because they really get their money's worth out of that 1 gig. And then it downloads 1.1 gig, and I'm like, well, that's a hell of an update. But we're also due for this USA DLC, which I'm really looking forward to because it's got American trucks and it's got some highway sections, and I'm just super stoked about that. I fire it up, and the first thing I see is a media path, and ineligible, corrupt media path. Some media may not be available. So sure enough, I open the XML file and I look in my DLC folder, and the DLC USA file is not there. The ridge is there, the valley is there, but no USA. And I was thinking, because it is a DLC, and if it's a DLC, you have to pay for it, you have to buy it, and I hadn't bought it, so, you know, that's cool. I thought maybe they threw it in there as like, you know, like with iRacing, if you buy everything, then the rumor is that if you ever get to 100% ownership of iRacing content, that in the future they just give you stuff for free. Like, if you can make it to 100%, then you stay at 100% forever. You know what I'm saying? So I was thinking, well, maybe Spin Tires is doing the same thing, even though they only have 2 DLC at the moment. And I couldn't get it working, and I could see that the USA DLC was missing. Okay, well, I didn't buy it, so that would make sense. And I take a look around on some other folders because I'm running multiple SSD drives, and then I've got an external spinner, and I thought, well, maybe the DLC got put on another drive, and it's just not, you know, the path needs to be corrected in the XML, and then it'll see it and start right up. No luck. So I uninstall the game and reinstall it, which is a tip that I saw. Plus, we all sort of know that. And if you've got fast internet, which at the moment, fortunately, I do, if you've got fast internet, it's only a gig, you know, that's only going to take 4 or 5 minutes to download. So I uninstalled the game, reinstalled it, as you do. And sure enough, when it came back in, it was different, because what had downloaded earlier had a new splash screen, new opening screen, and some things were different, and it looked like an update. But then there was that error. So when I re-downloaded, it had taken it back to the old game. So I restarted Steam a couple times, I restarted my system a couple times, thinking, okay, well, it just needs to see the current install, right? And then it'll put the new install in over top of it. You get what I'm saying. We've all done this. Pardon me? Okay, I don't want World of Trucks. I just want my job. Moment. So I go here. I go freight market. Yeah, that was all I wanted. Whew. Okay. Now, oh dear. Okay. So we don't need to take the little. We can take the big ones. You want to be ridiculous? I'll be ridiculous. I love being ridiculous. Okay. So then we take this. Okay. And then we take that. Okay. There it is. So I hope this isn't like boring as hell for me to tell you about my whole Spin Tires experience, but it leads to a larger subject that we're going to talk about as we're driving. So I thought, well, I'll just restart a couple times. Maybe it needs to see the base game install to realize that it needs to install the update. And I tried a couple times, I restarted a couple times, I restarted Steam a couple times, and it never did get back to that new opening screen. So what I think is, somebody made the update live before it's meant to be. I imagine because the USA DLC is going to release on October 23rd, I would guess that the game update is supposed to release on October 23rd as well. I'm just speculating here. I don't know this by any means. But it got me thinking about that. And got me thinking about being in PC world. Now, how do we get out of here? Well, obviously, we got to go straight, at least to start with. Brakes off. Here we go. It got me thinking about PC world because I had a kind of an issue the other day with Train Sim World. And see, what had happened was I went to launch TSW, Train Sim World, and nothing happened. I got a little bit, their splash screen is little. It's just like a business card size, kind of a mini splash. And then it goes black for a second, and then it goes into the main game entry, game opening screen. And TSW runs on Unreal 1. So, you know, what can you do? You start digging in the threads. Now, it's giving me a crash report that really doesn't say anything. So I'm just digging and digging and digging. trying to find a thread, and I just can't find anything to solve this problem. And I'm trying all kinds of stuff, and I'm reinstalling the game, as you do, and just anything that I can think of to try to figure this out. Welcome to PC world. So after a few hours of this, I finally find a thread that says the person that started the thread is having the same problem, and down below there's a comment from somebody who says, I'm talking to Dovetail Engineering, they suggested checking your BIOS. And it's like, really? Okay, really? Okay. So I check my BIOS, and it's a little bit out of date. So I flash in a new BIOS, and it starts right up. Train Sim World starts right up. That was probably a good thing, because I had some other, I have an IT background, so I don't like automated stuff, I guess is the easiest way to say it. I don't like sort of turning over control of my computers to apps. And it's one of the reasons that I was resistant to Steam. I didn't like the idea that it just did everything. I like to row my own gears, as they say. So I'm on HP laptops, and I don't like to use the HP Support Assistant, which does all this stuff automatically. Oh. It does that all automatically, and I really don't care for that. I'd rather do it myself. So I turned on the HP Assistant just to speed things up a little bit, and sure enough, I had a ton of more sort of hidden things in my system. There's like a thermal monitoring, I don't know, something in my chipset that needed a firmware upgrade. It was things that don't get updated in the normal driver updates when you start your machine, or in the normal Windows updates. So bottom line, my machine did need a little bit of maintenance. So it worked out. It's a happy accident, as they say, that Train Sim World not working caused me to flash my BIOS, which led me to find some of these other maintenance things that needed attention. So good on that. But it really got me thinking about PC versus console. And this is like a subject of mine. This is something I think about. Oh, greasing it past these signs. I love it. So thinking about that problem where I have this game and I have a bunch of DLC for it. So I own Train Sim World and I have all the DLC. It's probably at this point, I don't know, $100, $120 I've got invested in that game. I fire it up and it just doesn't work. Will not start. And as I'm looking on threads, one of the threads that I keep coming across is, it's got to do with the Windows update. And it's like, well, if it did, what the hell am I supposed to do about that? Like, you can't not update the way Windows is set up now. And I'm old, but I'm not old. But I'm old. Like, I can remember MS-DOS. I'm that old. I remember Windows 95 and Windows XP. Like, I'm an old school IT guy. So I can remember when Microsoft and Windows were operating systems. And what Windows has become is a data collection system. Everybody knows that. Cortana that you can't turn off, and a lot of search functions that you can't turn off, and it's constantly trying to flip you back to Bing, which is, how is Bing even still around? I digress. Anyway, a lot of updates you can't turn off because they're all sort of linked together with security and vulnerabilities, and it's a scene, man. So I'm looking at it like, well, I can't not update my machine, and if updates are what's causing the crash, like, what am I supposed to do about that? And it turns out it was the BIOS. But even that, as I was doing, now flashing your BIOS is not, we're not splitting the atom here, but at the same time, it is not something that just anybody could do. And it took me, a couple steps in about 45 minutes. And it's something you want to be really careful with, and you definitely want to have another BIOS image on a USB stick, and you also want to be sort of emotionally and mentally prepared for the fact that you could I wouldn't say brick your machine, but you could cause some problems and end up having to reinstall Windows and absolutely birthday disk your machine, and that's going to set you back a couple of days. Are you seeing this render, by the way? We're on 1.32.4.1, and this looks fantastic. We have got an unbelievable frame rate, and I'm wondering how much of that has to do with that system maintenance I did. We're looking great right now. Love it. Anyway, so yeah, there's a possibility when you're flashing BIOS that you will lose your Windows install and have to reinstall everything. There is also a possibility that you will brick your system, that you'll lose your BIOS and you won't even be able to interact with your system enough to reinstall Windows. And I mean, you can save it at that point, but it's a pretty significant intervention at that point. That's, you know, if reinstalling Windows is an afternoon, then rebuilding a laptop, because the drivers are also specific, that's the better part of, I don't know, probably a week. So that's what you need to prepare yourself for before you flash BIOS, if you can even do it, or if you even want to try to do it. So sure, I did it, but I was thinking, you know, there are people that can't do that, and there was a time when I could, you know, somebody would tell me, oh, you know, my computer's acting up, and I'd say, oh, I can fix that for you. And usually it was, you know, going to dodgy websites, going to porn sites, and they're just all cluttered with malware and various things. Get that all sorted out. But there were other more sort of comprehensive problems. But you could fix that for somebody, and they would give you a couple $100, right? Well, you can get a basic laptop now at Sam's Club or Walmart, a basic system. And I don't mean junk, I mean like a basic HP system that's going to work just fine for email and streaming video and whatever, for, I don't know, $400, $500. So the idea of paying $200 or $300 to somebody to fix your machine, it's like laptops really are sort of almost disposable at this point. And I think so many people have become so frustrated with technology that the idea that you would buy a game or any other app and one day it would just quit working, that doesn't really shock us anymore. That doesn't really surprise us. And that's crazy to think about, because for me, you know, TSW stops working and I find the source of the problem and I fix it. You know, and I could. There have been problems, I have to admit, that over the years it's taken me a lot longer to fix, and some of them eventually, yeah, you do have to kind of throw your hands up. But I was thinking about console world, and I know Xbox is basically Windows with everything that isn't required for gaming pulled away. So let's get some lights on here. So, you know, Xbox is essentially a PC, but it's a very specific PC with everything else, like I said, taken off it. But at its core, it's just a Windows operating system and a high-end graphics card, right? But Xbox One, from time to time, will have problems similar to what any other Windows system will have. And at that point, you're sort of relying on Microsoft to, I don't want to say fix it for you, but they need to push out the solutions on their end, because you really can't. Oh dear, I gotta go third person. Gotta find the right gear. We are gonna get dinged here, but I think I'm okay with that. I don't know if this can happen. Oh, with this truck here, I don't know. We're gonna do our very best. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be close. I think we got it. Whew. Love it. So yeah, from time to time, there are problems with Xbox, but you're sort of relying on Microsoft to fix them for you, because there's not a lot of intervention you can do as far as getting into an Xbox and making changes in there. But just thinking about, I guess, the nature of technology in 2018 and what it's like to be in PC world. And I do love it. I mean, I like problem solving. I like, slow down a little bit. I like the variety of games that you can get on PC. I like, is it this one? No whammies, no traffic. Beautiful. I like the variety of games that you can get. I like having control over my own system somewhat, although, like I said, with Windows becoming what it's becoming, you have a lot less control than you used to have. But just thinking about that and thinking about what, I don't know how else to say it, like what gaming is on the PC side. So, I don't know, I guess it's almost like building a hot rod. You know, it's going to cause you a lot of problems, and it may not be reliable, but when it works the way it's supposed to, it's really, really good. And I also, about a week ago, NVIDIA pushed out new drivers for my card, and then I saw today they rolled out others. And that got me thinking, typically they do releases about a month apart. When they do a release about a week apart, it's sort of, you know, it's not something we necessarily want to talk about, but that generally means they kind of dropped the ball on the last one and there was a problem with it. So I'm curious if all that wasn't tied together, because I did get new drivers about a week ago. I had not played Train Sim World since, and if that had something to do with it. But really, it's weird to think that you are, I don't want to say at the mercy of, but between Windows updating, and Windows 10 updates are notorious for causing problems with cards, graphics cards, and hang on, I'm trying to look at this house. Trying not to wreck my truck. Notorious for causing problems with graphics cards and various other things in machines. And Unreal Engine has a reputation for not being the most stable or reliable engine. And then NVIDIA, right? And every now and then, like I said, they do drop the ball on a driver update, and things get a little screwy. And you're really sort of at the mercy of, I guess, outside entities, you know? Through no fault of your own, something that you bought might stop working. And that's a weird concept, I think, for I guess some people. I was trying to think of it. I don't want to be rude when I say that. You know, some people, and I don't mean it like that, but I think for some people the idea that could happen is what keeps them on console, particularly on the Nintendo and PlayStation side, where you have even less of that than you do on the Xbox side. So it's an interesting take, I guess, on all the different ways that we game and what people are willing to put into it and what they expect to get out of it, and sort of the risks that people are willing to take. So it's fascinating, man. It really it's such a strange world. And I guess the same is true of anything, you know, anything that people really get into, whether it's, you know, baking pastries or scuba diving or whatever. You know, if you're really into something, you're really into it. And that's carefully. And that's super awesome. It really is. I you know, was it a couple days ago? Yeah, I did a farm video, and I was kind of shit-talking my Airbnb host. Now, to be fair, he deserves it because he's an a-hole. But at the same time, I try to be respectful of all people and respect that, you know, we're all on our journey and we're all trying to get somewhere. Might not be the same place, but we're all trying to get somewhere. But I mentioned that people really do fascinate me, and I love people. I don't love people like, oh, you know, come here, man, I love you. I don't mean that I love individual people. I'm really not a people person. But as a group, people fascinate me. So I guess I'm more about the sociological aspect of people than I am about the let's go have a beer aspect. But you know what I'm saying. But the idea of people and sort of what people represent, all their different nuances and subtleties, and all the ways that they're awesome and all the ways that they're flawed, that really is it's fascinating for me to see. I think part of that is because of my autism. I think when I see other people, I'm seeing I guess I'm seeing how they interact with one another and how they sort of form a group, form a cohesive society, and I'm still exploring and sorting out how I fit into that as a person with autism. So yeah, man, anyway, I hope these don't come off as rants, because they're certainly not intended that way. I'm just talking at you while I'm driving my truck, you know. And I have to say, now I don't want to jinx it just as we're getting into, where'd we go? Pendleton? I don't want to jinx it just as we're getting into Pendleton, but I was thinking about something the other day, because I review these videos, both before I post them and after I post them, just to make sure everything is tip-top. And I was thinking about, like this, for instance, truck video. And this is going to be, I don't know, half an hour long, 40 minutes long. So first off, I'm gonna drive my truck for half an hour, for 40 minutes, and the goal is not to make a single mistake, you know, because we're doing it live. Not to make a single mistake. I want to be a Jedi truck driver. And there's some cats on YouTube, man, I watch them and I'm like, oh, I just want to be that smooth. I never want to make mistakes. So that's goal one, step one. Play a video game for 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour and never make one mistake. And then you're going to talk the whole time. And that adds another layer of complexity, difficulty. Oh, and by the way, you need to, as you're talking, you need to make sense and not trip over your words and not mumble. And okay, you ready? All right, and we're recording. Go. So this has definitely been a learning experience. And mostly what I do is I just play video games and talk to you about video games. So I hope that works for you, because if it doesn't, you found the wrong channel, my friend. But if it does work for you, then glad you're here. Right, and we are just getting into Pendleton. We got a triple on, so they will most likely have us do a pull-through. Well, I say most likely. Of course they'll have us do a pull-through, because we can't back this thing up. I would like to see, I worked for UPS for a while, and UPS feeder trucks come in, typically double pup set. And if you've got a driver, oh no. Oh, what did I just say? Hopefully we didn't take any damage. No, oh dear, okay. That ruins it. Forget it. I don't want to be a YouTuber anymore. I'm done. I used to be operations supervisor at UPS. I used to be everything, by the way. I've had many careers, many jobs. And if your feeder driver if that was not his route, and he got lost or turned around somewhere, if it was possible for him to get his set turned around and get pointed back to you, then everything was cool, because he could do that in a few minutes. But if they weren't able to get turned around, it was referred to as breaking your set, and you would have to pull your two pups apart and turn them around individually and then hook them back up again. And that takes a minute, particularly if you don't have a lot of room to work in. So the feeder drivers were really focused on not getting turned around and not ending up in the wrong place where they couldn't get turned back around and would have to spend a lot of time pulling their set apart and getting everything made right. That's a great story. Yeah, it is. It's a great story. Okay, we got 6 miles to get there. Man, I'm really bummed about that. Because, I was just saying, like, the whole goal of this, we don't do any editing, we don't do any takes. Like, the whole goal of this is to do this perfect in one shot. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Almost made it. Almost made it. I can just barely see this light. That's interesting. Okay. What's he doing? Oh, I can see a light too. A light that I could not see. Alright. This is going to be a little tricky, but we got a little shoulder to work with here. And we're going to work with it. Sorry, I'm super concentrating now because I'm like mortified that I did that, especially after I was crowing about how I was maybe not a Jedi. I'm a Padawan, yo, but still, just feeling really stoked about making it through the mountains and to clip a truck that close to our delivery. Ugh. But what can you do? And we did most of this trip in daylight, but we got a little bit of a sunset here. It's beautiful. So we've also been, and I don't know if it's, see, that's the thing. This is what I'm saying about PC World. I don't know like how everything is working out so well right now. Because we're at 60 FPS at night with the lights on, and I don't know if that's drivers, I don't know if that's game, I don't know, you know what I mean? I just know it looks great, and I don't know how. Or at least it looks great to me. I don't know how it looks to you. I think it looks fantastic right now. Oh, and then the hardware stuff too, the firmware updates and the various other things that I sort of stumbled into when I flashed BIOS. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I fixed a bunch of stuff that I didn't even know was broken. Which is simultaneously, you know, that's a good thing, but at the same time, it's like, right? Like you're driving around towing an anvil, and somebody's like, "Hey, mister, you know you're towing an anvil?" And you're like, "Yeah, of course I did." And then after he leaves, you go out and like cut the thing off, and all of a sudden your car runs better. Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe my system just needed an update. And now that I've done it, it'll fix all kinds of stuff. Oh, that'd be great. Because I was already happy with the way it was working. Now I'll be even happier. Super fantastic. Yeah, let's just do, as soon as I'm done here, I'm just going to hop on Euro Truck, and I'll record both of those right now and render them both, and then I'll upload them both and just make them public at the appropriate times. Yeah, let's do that. Now I got to figure out what to do tomorrow, because tomorrow's Saturday to record to post Sunday. Oh dear. What is this? Oh. Is this even possible? Is this, you know what I mean? Is this like mechanically possible? Okay. T-Bones, you watching this, brother? Could you do this? Like in real life, could you do this? Oh, and then another one. Okay. Okay. I ain't scared. Where are we going? Okay, this one's not bad. This one's got a little latitude on the side there. But I don't want to cut through that grass, and then be over so far that I catch the gate as I'm pulling through. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Now, are we just going to pull straight in, or is it going to have us like turn around and loop around and go all, you know what I'm saying? I see it. I see it. Looks like they just want us to pull straight in. Okay. And I may get the angle on this. I may not. Sometimes you just can't. Or at least I just can't. I'm sure somebody could. Some kind of gangster. Which, you know, I have my moments, but I'm not there yet. Give it. Give it. Give it. Oh, really? Oh, game, how I love you. Okay, so lights off. Engine off. Let's see how we did. I can't believe we did this all for $5 grand. Although it may be a little more because we went with triples. Let's see. It is. Beautiful. And how we do on points? It's going to be a while till we level up. Folks, thank you so much for stopping back to check out the Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of American Truck Simulator. And we will see you next time. Take care now.